Doctor Who, Series 1, Episode 1, Rose. I almost did the Star Trek joke of, or as the real fans call it, yada yada, but Doctor Who doesn't have that same problem. Yes, today I am joined by a very special guest, assuming he's back.
He is back.
There we go. He's back. He missed my intro. I was so happy to startle him with it. But yes, my brother Caden will be here for as many of these as I can get him for.
Mm-hmm.
But before we go into little chats, there is some stuff, especially with Doctor Who, we have to start out with. So first off, if you don't know what we're gonna do, because a lot of people probably don't know, we're basically going to be recording a audio commentary track live. So for legal reasons, I can't just stream an episode of Doctor Who, of course. So, we're going to have some things to help you keep track, like the episode blurred and the time bar in the background. But yeah, you have to bring your own episode. As you might see on the screen, this is somewhat more complicated than with Star Trek. I'm going to try and be as brief as possible here, because this is genuinely something that I keep investigating more and more and more, and one day I'm going to get a degree in video encoding, specifically for my chase to try and understand this. God, I've spent so much of my life on this. But the UK films and broadcasts shows at 25 frames per second. I think they're the only country that does this. I don't know what the other... I've only ever heard this in terms of US and UK, so that's what I'm talking about. The US, and I think the broad standard globally, is 23 point something frames per second, basically 24. Because of increasingly complicated reasons I could probably spend 3 hours talking about, this means that when you have to broadcast a UK show for the US, or put it on DVD... you have to change the frame rate. There are a lot of ways you can do this, but the easiest one is to just play the episode slower and fix the pitch of the audio. Because honestly, 4% doesn't really make a difference. The only time you notice it is the intro to this specific season of Doctor Who. So, the way I watch these is I have digital backups of my Blu-rays, which are the US Region 1 Blu-rays. Streaming services, it's actually quite baffling trying to figure out which ones they use. A lot of them do use the American version, at least in America. You can see this episode is 46 minutes, 22 seconds. It actually ends about here at 44 minutes, 20 seconds. But yeah, I think Amazon has the UK version, which is about 44 minutes. But I probably should have mentioned this earlier. If you're watching this live, this is the US speed. Definitely, I have verified that this is US speed. If you don't have access to US speed, which of course we don't know, because eventually this is all going to go to Disney Plus, and God knows what they're going to use. What I'm going to do is, if you look in the description, there's going to be a link to this live stream that I have slowed down to match the UK version. So live is US, and if you're watching this, you might also be watching that video, in which case in the description there's a link to this very live stream. So if we are out of sync, which you will probably notice relatively quickly, by the end you'll be like 2 minutes off, that is what is happening. Yeah. God. Anyway, now, will people get set up, especially because you might not now have a lot of time scrambling to figure out if you're set up or not. In fact, here we go. Here is the frame from 37 minutes for 52 seconds, just like Clive staring there and being sad. Is your getting set up? Kane and I are now going to chat a little bit, so everyone has. Eventually, we're going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. But, yeah, so Rhodes. Well, Caden, first off, yeah. Doctor Who. How much have you seen?
Up until we were discussing to figure this out a while ago.
I can answer the question if you want.
Yeah, how much have I seen?
You have seen everything from Rose, where we are now, up to and including Asylum of the Daleks, which is very near the end of the 11th Doctor. Which I find hilarious because you don't understand why you stopped watching. You don't remember.
No, not at all.
You just kind of fell out, I guess. Which I choose to interpret is you found Asylum of the Daleks so bad that you just gave up on the show. It's not a very well received episode, Asylum of the Daleks. I'll say that much. It's one where if people heard you stopped at that specific episode, they would go, "Yeah, that makes sense." It's kind of the normie thing to do is to stop around that point.
And I don't remember too much.
Yeah, so you remember a fair amount of things. I have seen all of the modern series. I have seen all of the classic, save I think most of the missing episodes that haven't been animated. I've seen like Marco Polo, The Wheel in Space, and I think those are the only two I remember. I own an expansive Big Finish collection. In fact, I'm gonna get up. What is... I'm also gonna just reset this timer. Hide my stream elements. What is my Big Finish collection? Entertainment, media, Doctor Who, audio dramas, properties... 523 files in my audio drama. Yeah, I've seen more audio dramas than there exists stories of the TV show Doctor Who. And of course I've seen the movie, so I'm a fan. I know a lot. And yeah, I've been wanting to get through, especially with the new stuff, the 15th Doctor, which you haven't seen, but I'm trying to get you into. You'll love him. He's great. You already loved him. You're sold on him.
Yeah,
you
I
just
am.
need the time. And I sold you on him by the scene where he's like dancing in the club in the Christmas special. Yep. Like,
I respect the boogie.
sold.
I can get behind a Doctor who can boogie.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. If you want to watch me talk about 15 and 14, you could go watch those episode reviews. But yeah, anything you want to say before we start about 9, about Rose, about this season? A bit of rambling like that.
I was thinking back last night before this what even happened in this episode, and I don't entirely remember. I'm excited. I'm just excited for David Tennant.
The fan base kind of says this is David Tennant. If you're here for David Tennant, in 10 to 13 weeks, we'll get to David Tennant.
Yes.
This episode generally is regarded as fine. You know, it does a good job of introducing the show. It has some problems, but I specifically wanted you for this episode because it's got some silly that I think will be fun. How's all my connections? Stream's good. Are you good? You're getting everything?
Yeah.
All right.
I think.
So now, let me just proper mute Chrome. We should be good. I will start the countdown. I will get a quick drink.
Roger.
Oh my god, I did it again. Start recording! I need a sticky note for that. Yeah, so if you're watching... Oh god, but... Okay, stop recording. I'm gonna have to download this stream to edit it, because I really need those instructions. Starting! Yes, Jordan Booth, hello. We are about to start. We're in fact just about to do the countdown. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and we hit play on go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And let me actually show the scene.
It has begun.
I mentioned this to Kaden, whoops, just before we started, that, oh my god, why is it hiding the time bar? As I mentioned, Doctor Who has slowed down about 4% from its original UK transmission. The only time you notice this is this intro. It sounds slow, and I always thought that as a kid, like it's holding itself back. Yeah, as a kid, you know, I didn't watch this as it came out, but I watched it a few years later. And for everyone in the audience who did watch it when it came out, Caden, you're, I think, just a few months older than this episode of Doctor Who. The current companion is like a few months younger than this episode of Doctor Who.
Gosh.
I'm a doctor or two away from being older than the Doctor. There we go. Do you remember Rose much? You said you don't really.
I remember, like, none of the specifics, but I do remember being crushed by her ending.
Rose is a companion that sort of this casual audience loves, of course, you know, Rose and Tennant. The fan base generally doesn't like her too much, and a lot of people actually really hate Rose.
Oh, why?
I feel like I'm moderate. They find her kind of annoying, especially as they've gotten older. And I think Rose works a lot better when she's the only companion you know of. But if you were to start with like Hartnell and then go all the way through and get to Rose, it does seem a little weird. Also, a lot of people don't like that the Doctor's 900 years old and he like is in love with a 19-year-old.
That makes sense.
I don't think it does, but that's something to talk about with Tennant. You know, we're a good season away from their romance.
Got time.
Yeah, we got time. It is a really good episode at like you know, reintroducing Doctor Who to an audience that remembers it is a bad joke. It really was. Well, it wasn't, but it was remembered as a bad joke.
I do remember specifically these hallways, and that I was afraid of them. I thought it was creepy.
We can hear it. You can't hear it because for copyright, I can't just stream the entire audio track. So this was bring your own video. You might have missed the talk at the start. But if you look down here, we can hear it, but I'm not allowed to let you hear it. I think the first named character in this episode ends up dead. That's kind of interesting. Spoiler alert, but Wilson's dead.
I definitely remember being freaked out by what's happening right now.
Fun
At my
fact.
young age.
I didn't know this, but the Autons are from the Third Doctor. They're in the classics.
I did not know that.
It is actually the Third Doctor's first episode was Autons, and it's kind of similar to this. Yeah, it's a great era. Third Doctor. Second time the Autons appear has the Master, and they're like, they want to kill. Oh, it's great. That's the one that's got a guy who's murdered by a plastic chair. It's brilliant. I know. Classic Who is. You just wouldn't get that nowadays. That is pretty creepy, though. I wonder if Derek is also dead, though. Maybe Wilson did survive. There he is. There's our boy.
Man, I had every right to be afraid. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Poor kids. Like, it's a good thing I didn't watch this at the age of 5. I would have noped out of here. Yeah, Doctor Who, like, I really didn't handle horror well as a kid. Doctor Who was the only thing that would lean into horror that I actually watched. It's interesting. I like the Ninth Doctor. He took a long time for me to really kind of start seeing him as the Doctor and get him. But I like him now. See?
Oh no.
Poor Wilson. Oh my gosh, it had a little wavy effect.
I saw that. Yeah.
Man, they get rid of that.
Is that a bomb?
Yeah, he's got a bomb. Look, man, he's just been through some serious stuff. I really like that, God, he is great. I really love, that they started with a classic villain and just never brought it up, because it must have been nice watching it back in 2005. Be like, oh yeah, the Autons. It is interesting, though, that he does start, like, the first thing he does is blow up a building in downtown London. He didn't blow up the first floor, though. That's good, because that's where the security guard was.
I feel like I remember not liking Rose's mom.
It goes 50-50. She's a great character, but yeah, a lot of people don't really like her because they just don't like her as a person. But a lot of people are also like, hell yeah, like Rose's her 19-year-old daughter is like basically sent off by some ancient alien that constantly puts her in danger, and like she never comes home. She made him think she was gone for a year. Like, yeah, she's kind of she's justified, It's she's got some good lines, but yeah. Again, I'm pretty midline on Jackie. Shoutouts to everyone who decided to watch me instead of Super Bowl Sunday. I didn't know it was Super Bowl Sunday till after I scheduled this.
It hasn't started yet, has it?
Oh, that would be good. That might be explaining. I've had a few people hop in the stream on the view count.
Shouldn't she be like calling the police? Hey, the guy who put the bomb in there, I spoke with him. Maybe she get a reward or something.
It's kind of hard to explain, and she's like, I don't know what I'd do in that situation,
You don't bring up the mannequins.
I don't know. It's like,
ooh, nice transition.
I hate forgetting to turn off my alarm. I really like this apartment set. It's very 2000, and I like it's really cluttered and kind of like working class apartment. See, she's got some good lines. Fun fact, originally, the doctor was supposed to stick his head through there, but it's way too small, and when they got there on the day, they're like, hang on. Hello.
Her boyfriend, he doesn't make it past this episode, does he?
Jackie? Oh, Mickey. Oh no, he's into like the 10th Doctor, you know.
Is he? I feel like
Yeah.
I'm remembering him departing.
He's not really a companion, but he shows up for a lot.
Getting memories. Something's coming back to me. Let it marinate in my head.
Yeah. And I'll wait till after the era to talk about the actors who might not be the best people. Apparently, that scene was not meant to suggest he just regenerated. I call BS. Like,
That's, yeah.
the fandom has gone to great lengths to justify that scene. The fandom says that apparently he like smashed all the mirrors in the TARDIS and spent like hundreds of years just never looking at his reflection. I'm like, is that the reaction of a man who's just seen their face for the first time in like 100 years? Ow. Good line. Oh yeah, that's why she didn't call the police.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to these watch-alongs where you miss little lines like that.
It's a long shot.
Ooh, it is. It was. They even went down the stairs. You're right. Looks handheld as well. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. I'm liking him a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
Every time he gets a little better. This is one of the things I think coming up that I don't really like about this doctor. But I'll let him do his scene. Through your shops. I love the TARDIS in these backgrounds, like when you don't know what it is. A lot of people love that line. I've never really been a fan because I don't see it in like the first 7 Doctors. It's in a little bit of 8 for the movie. I don't see it in any of the later Doctors. It feels really weird if you come off the classics straight into this, and it's even in the house when he's going through some like books with superpowers, and he's supposedly sees like how time could flow at any moment, like all possible realities. I'm like, you think that would make a lot of the episodes a lot less dangerous and easier. Like, I see the reality where the secret villain gets outed and is publicly executed. Therefore, I know who it is. I don't know. I've never been as big a fan. The Time Lords can be hard to do right, though. You've met some Time Lords.
I think.
Yeah, because 10 runs into them once or twice.
He gets turned into some old baby
well, you
because
meet
of
the
them.
Master. I didn't pick up on that, but apparently that's intended to imply that Mickey's cheating on Rose, because he's not a good person. Yeah, their relationship's kind of weird. I do love, though, every Doctor Who fan. Hey, any fan of, like, a franchise has probably had that moment where they type in, like, you know, the Doctor, and it's just, you get a bunch of medical results. Or they type in something, and they're like, oh yeah, I should have added, like, Doctor Who to the start of that, because...
I would drive that car. Good car.
I wonder if it's a reference to the 3rd Doctor who had a bright white, yellow car. It was different, but its name is Bessie. I mean, Mickey is kind of fun in some scenes like that. Like, yeah. I'm watching you, bin guy. To give you an idea of the kind of stuff Big Finish makes, apparently this guy is in a series with Rose, like a new one. It's amazing. Russell T Davies, the guy who led Doctor Who, he's gay, he's incredibly progressive, but he very much writes like 2005, like very accurately.
How well they have put him into that photo.
It's pretty good from afar. It is interesting though, because these photos imply he was doing some stuff without Rose. And like from this episode onward, Rose is always around. I've never thought that looked like him. The same pose and everything. Rose Tyler. Oh, look, that's got a weird black stripe on it. It's almost like a taxi. Okay, here's a scene I think you might enjoy. Ramming speed, Mickey. Did I leave my bins out? Now I'm thinking. I don't think I did. Happened to me just last week. I mean, for 2005, that's not bad.
It's very charming.
That's one way to put it. Guys, this episode now so old that dodgy effects are considered charming. There we go. What nonsense.
I think what's about to happen is what I was remembering and why I thought he was dead. Yeah.
This is where the episode starts to get a bit weird. Now, it's a big leap to get to the conclusion my boyfriend's been replaced with a plastic replica of himself. Like, if Alex walked downstairs is a plastic replica of themselves, I probably would not assume that. But I would notice and be visibly concerned. She just doesn't notice.
She's got a lot on her mind.
Maybe it's supposed to be more realistic, but that just wasn't conveyed well. But then they just shouldn't have done it like this. mean, it's really well done for a plastic replica, but... This is a red flag, though, in a relationship. It's just so... That's what I'm gonna do after the live stream, is go upstairs and just, live stream went well, babe, sugar, sweetheart, sweetheart, sugar, babe. Are his ears pierced?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, this would have been a great time to reuse the armless joke. Just like, don't worry, Rose, he's headless. Just destroy the pun, but do the joke anyway. Look at Rose, she's actually properly written. She's a good companion. She's good under pressure. You don't understand the pain, Caden, but in like 2 years we'll get to 13. He's just so, like, nonchalant. He's very much like, I just went through the Time War. I want to be the Doctor again. I want everything to be no big deal. I just murdered my race. That is a pretty nice TARDIS, though, on the outside. It's a decent interior, too. What do you think about this TARDIS interior?
I think when I envision the TARDIS,
it's this.
Usually this, yeah.
That makes sense.
But this one's pretty similar to David Tennant's, right?
It is David Tennant's.
Oh, then, yep.
Yeah, that makes sense just from what you've watched.
And I remember being disappointed in Matt Smith's, I think, but I think that's just because I really was so used to David Tennant's.
When you really analyze it and talk about it and compare a lot of the others, it has some problems. A lot of people don't like it. I quite like it. Its biggest problem that you'll see people complain about is there's no door outside this room. The only door is the main door. And even though there's reference to other rooms, we never see them. And I agree. I think I like everything else, though. I love the console. I love the console in this TARDIS. I think I definitely prefer this console to Matt Smith's. Matt Smith's TARDIS is fine, but you haven't seen the glory that is Peter Capaldi's TARDIS, so that's just the best one. Oh yeah, his mother's gonna be written to be dead later. like it when you know about... Well, lots of planets have a north. I know, it's a good... You didn't laugh too much as much as that line as you should have. The way he smiles. So, I loved, and I didn't know it, but the TARDIS gets stuck is a TARDIS in the very first episode. And I thought that's fun. This small. Any ideas? Where do you think it is? I still don't know.
Why didn't they just get back in the TARDIS?
Yeah, they just
Go across
leave. They
the river.
can't find it. Next episode. That was a reference to the Third Doctor story I mentioned that I've never caught before, where they try and use plastic plants to take over the world. Don't worry about it. It was the 70s. Sorry, I'm allergic to plastic. There we go. He's trying to be the Doctor again. It's nice. I always like the Shadow Proclamation. It's referenced a few times. It helps make the world feel consistent and like it's not just a bunch of disconnected episodes. Which is very easy when no one cares about the timeline of Doctor Who. Good start. I feel like I like how it feels he's really desperate to like he wants the world to be so perfect after the time war. He's like, no, I won't let there be war. And look, he doesn't even want to be an enemy. He's like, he's so much wants to distance himself.
I like how the henchman mannequins are in suits.
You did. God, big. If you get into it, Big Finish does a lot of great stuff with the Eighth Doctor and trying to avoid the Time War and like desperately trying to stop it. It's really good. Big Finish is great. I'm gonna go to the mannequin store to get a new mannequin for the house. No, that's next episode. That's what it's called. Doing the robot. I like to think that was the direction. Oh no, the children. Oh, poor Clyde. Don't worry, just go listen to his Big Finish adventures. That's not even a joke. I don't know, I just like the ones going down the escalator. Something about that. I bet this episode is amazing if you've been to London. It's just I keep thinking that they film it's so much location filming and like places you've probably been if you're in London. Right, time for Rose's application to the companion lineup. I half remembered her crashing into the wall, but nope, she survived. Like, shout-outs to that extra who was committed to the bit. I love that. When an extra's like, I'm being paid for a job, and by God, I'm gonna do that job. I'm gonna get on the floor and do the robot. Honestly, that'd be even more terrifying than like, oh, no one was in the mannequins. Ooh, their legs the wrong way. And here we go. At this point, the UK version is done with the episode. It's ended. I know, because I did tests. See, Jackie's got a bit of a reason to be, This is the last time she'll, quote-unquote, hear from her daughter in a year.
Gosh.
Yeah. Wow, that is some bad green screen.
That's charming.
You want charming? Let me take you to 70s Doctor Who when they discovered the green screen exists. Just the look on his face. Ugh. He obviously hasn't had a companion in like hundreds of years. And let me tell you, the Eighth Doctor's companions, those usually don't end too well. Fun fact, this right here is where a lot of the fan and extended media decides. And then he went on a lot of adventures, and that's how we can do it without Rose. And then at some point in like 100 years, he's like, I didn't say it was a time machine, and he just comes back. Which I always find really funny. I kind of want Big Finish to have that moment in his story. Like, his companion leaves, he's like, I remember. Like, yeah, bye, Mickey. You're a bit of a shit person anyway. Yeah, I said I was gonna wait, but Mickey's actor is one of the guys who, isn't great.
Sucks.
It was 2005, and, that's probably all you need to know about actors who you learn stuff about. You know, there's a lot of famous people from that time. Yeah, that was Rose. What did you think?
It was wonderful.
The best episode of Doctor Who ever made.
Parts of it came back to me as it happened.
Yeah, I think you'll get that for a lot of this.
Yeah.
That was with Star Trek. I mean, you only watched it like the one time, I assume, but you'll get, when you see the Slovene, you'll be like, I remember those big farting green guys.
I think I do know exactly.
Someone will say Bad Wolf. You'll be like, oh yeah.
I remember that was an important thing. Of course I remember the gas mask kid.
Oh yeah, Stephen Moffat writing for Russell T Davies, like, but maybe there's some you won't remember. I bet, just looking at the episode list.
Probably.
But yeah, it's way not down to the 11th Doctor that we get stuff you haven't seen.
Oh.
Maybe, you know what? Here's something tantalizing, because you probably watched on Amazon Prime, like me and Mom did back in the
Mm-hmm.
day. Amazon Prime, bafflingly, or like it groups back to Doctor Who in a very weird way, where it doesn't really know what to do with the specials and it often puts them over on their own category. But it includes the specials where you would notice if you skipped an episode. Like David Tennant's first episode is part of series 2. So you don't know, like, if it wasn't there, you would have noticed you skipped. And it's not till the Christmas special after you stopped watching that you would go, hang on, the TARDIS is totally different. What happened? Funny enough, in the special, the TARDIS is totally different and they never explain it. But I went back and found like all the Christmas specials except the Christmas Invasion, but most importantly, I found like 2 or 3 David Tennant specials that I had never seen before because of the way Amazon presented them. So there might be new David Tennant episodes.
Ooh,
Well, there are because you haven't seen the 14th Doctor, but there might be 5 instead of 3.
that
Um,
is
and
exciting.
that was kind of weird, like to see. I mean, if I ever get you into Big Finish, there'll be a lot of David Tennant you haven't seen.
Mm.
But yeah, because I think annoyingly they show I think the Waters of Mars and the End of Time, which are like the only. You don't even need the Waters of Mars, but like you'd notice if the End of Time wasn't there, because David Tennant suddenly becomes Matt Smith. Which nowadays I think they do, because I've seen people on the Reddit go like, "Did I miss an episode?" Because like, Donna left, and now suddenly it's Matt Smith, and I kept waiting for them to explain how he regenerated and how the TARDIS changed, and they're like, "Yeah, no, Amazon's weird. You did miss 5 episodes." Because it's like it's baffling and confusing, and
Mhm.
Disney Plus is doing the same. We're like 15th Doctor's first episode, start of a brand new era. They're calling it season 1. You can jump on. You don't need all the lore. What do they call it? Special 4. What are specials 1, 2, and 3? With David Tennant in the conclusion of 20 years of an entire era of Doctor Who that directly reference what happens to half the companions and half the plot points, and like is incredibly dependent on having known what happens, like in the past at least 9th and 10th. And it's
It's
like,
funny.
Disney, why did you do this? Like, yeah, it's weird. But next week, hopefully we can get you. We'll have the end of the world, which hopefully not in real life, just in Doctor Who.
You never
But
know.
that's one that's quite interesting. Yeah, you don't know, but these live streams really can't be interrupted because they're supposed to sync up. And if the world ended in the middle, that'd be a big problem for people trying to rewatch it.
Yeah, you have a
But
point.
yeah, in eventually, basically at my convenience, I'm gonna put them probably in bulk, the UK speed versions of these, and that should just sync up pretty well. I'll slow them down, match the speeds, and then it's good. But I wanted to watch Doctor Who, and I'm like, let's do it this way. And I'm finally getting Caden do his rewatch. And it might take 3 years till we catch up, but by God, if he sticks around for that long, you're definitely gonna go into 14 and 15.
Yeah.
I won't after 13 because I've done those already. We'll pop back. Well, at least I'll pop back and go to Hartnell, and we'll figure that out. But yeah, Caden, if you love the green screen and the special effects, I'm telling you, 70s Doctor Who, when like they invent the green screen, oh, if you want that, just I'll give you my Third Doctor stuff and just start there. There's an episode where because of rapid inflation, the year's budget, which was already very poor, was stretched so thin that like every scene on an alien planet is green screen quality worse than what I did when I did the 3D printed stuff. There's a scene where there's like a guy who's supposed to be a little plastic doll, and they green screen it, and he's incorrectly lit, the framing is all wrong, the scaling is all wrong. I've tried to find this in isolation, but you would love that. There's the one where the dinosaurs invade, and it's like the Godzilla suits. You know how they did that? It's called
Yeah.
It's called The Invasion of the Dinosaurs. Yeah, you third Doctor era, I'm telling you.
Mm.
But I will wrap it up there. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you will be here for next week. Thank you all very much for watching.